About 75% of hospitals over 250 beds will have a palliative care program of some sort.
That's tremendous. That seems like a really...
Well, it's because it's really being understood as an essential ingredient in the acute care setting, especially in ICU. When you have people come in with major crises, families arrive, they've got 5 or 6 subspecialists. They may be taken care of by somebody that nobody knows.
Right.
The physician and the family and the patient are strangers to each other, getting to know each other. And there are a lot of questions, there are a lot of very heavy decisions that have to be made in a short period of time. And the routine of hospital care, as you know, is very fast-paced.
Yes, and it has to be, or it needs to be in many circumstances.
Well, it does.
Right.
It does. You got to get them in, you got to get them out.
Right.
And you got to make them well as quickly as possible, because people don't want to spend that much time in the hospital. So now you have a situation in which careful deliberation is required. All the time the patient needs is given to them, and the routine care can't slow itself down to prepare for that. And so enter the palliative care team, who sits down as a group quite often. The doctor, the nurse practitioner or nurse specialist, the social worker, the chaplain. And here you are in family conference, and you're asking these folks, tell us about your loved one. Tell us what's important to them. Tell us, if they knew that they did not have very long to live, what would be most important to them. And then you spend time trying to help them understand where they are in their illness trajectory. We can't tell you about what's going to happen tomorrow, but we can make some guesses about it. And then we propose some options of care that are most likely to meet their goals. So the bottom line for palliative care is to match the treatment that's appropriate and most likely to achieve a patient's goals. That's what we mean by patient-centered care. It's even when you are disabled and perhaps don't even have decisional capacity, you or your loved ones now making decisions for you can make the decision that is best for you.
This is but that is a big break for the doctor and nurse of that team. The half of the team, the chaplain, the social worker may be used to that member of a faith of some sort, may be used to slowing down, but the doctor and the nurse are still in that mentality oftentimes. I mean, that's a real break for them to step back and slow down. That could be a very difficult aspect, probably.
As healthcare is currently financed, and I'll have to confess to you, I'm a proponent of healthcare reform, and I hope that this is going to change in the near future. But as it stands right now, the reimbursement mechanism is volume driven. You get paid based on the number of people you see in a given time. So what I'm proposing, or what actually we do, is just the opposite of that. And so that's why it, to some extent, has to be subsidized by the hospital or by grants to allow people the freedom to be able to give you the time that you need to help make the decisions. So it really is somewhat counter to the current flow, but I think there's growing recognition that the current reimbursement mechanism is really driving up the cost of care, and we're very likely to see that change in the near future.
And there will be enough of that team to go around to serve all of the patients that potentially, and the families that have needs and need to slow down a little bit. There will be enough caregivers to actually enable that to occur?
What you aim for with an interdisciplinary team, and it is sort of a study module in itself, coming to understand how to be a part of a team. You know, we doctors are all lone rangers. We were not, we were Rambos. We were not trained to, to ask for help. That's a sign of weakness. It's been a macho kind of thing. Now, Someone has written an article about what's going to happen when women are the majority of the physicians,
Right.
which is destined to happen in the near future because
They'll all be-
already it's 51%
Right.
in medical school.
Oh, wow.
So it's going to happen. So, you know, there are a lot of changes, but one of the things pointed out was women make much better team players. And teams are going to be really important as a model for future care of chronic illness,
Right.
whether it be in palliative care or hospice, and now being developed in some of the other models like the treatment of diabetes and lung disease and
Yes.
chronic heart disease and things like that. So we'll begin to see more team models
Yes.
coming online.
Which
in
is
the near
very
future.
important. Yes.
Very
I mean,
important.
Very exciting potentially
But
for patients.
the learning curve can be very painful for us doctors.
Mhm. Yeah, I bet. I bet.
So the payoff, though, is that I'm not in this by myself.
Right.
When I'm facilitating folks to make very difficult decisions in a short period of time. So, you know, there you would think there would be a very high rate of burnout in my particular subspecialty of palliative care. The truth is, it's not. It's probably one of the lowest. And I think one of the strong reasons for that is that you've got somebody, you've got a shoulder to cry on, you got somebody to hold your hand, you got somebody to affirm you when you're feeling down. You've got this built-in support structure. In addition to that, we want to be able, as in an interdisciplinary team, to be able to be as knowledgeable as we possibly can about each other's discipline.
Mm-hmm. Oh, good.
So
each of the other members of the team.
Right.
Right.
So I need to know a lot of social work.
Mm.
If somebody asks me to pray, I better be prepared to pray. You know, whether I'm
Right.
comfortable doing that or not.
Right.
I mean, I have to learn those kinds
Wow.
of disciplines. By the same token, the social worker and the chaplain need to know the language the doctor and nurse speaks. They need to do that for their own credibility when they're dealing with the other subspecialist. And they also need to know it so that they can translate it into lay terms for the patient and family.
Very
so
important.
we may see them as a group, and then we come back as individuals to follow up. But everybody now knows pretty much what everybody else knows.
Yes.
And so then when they ask additional questions,
Right.
there we're prepared
When
to
the patient
answer
or the
them.
family is asking the social worker, well, tell me what Dr. Sasser said, or will you just
Exactly.
help fill in this hole we're missing? That's wonderful. Or what the
Exactly.
chaplain said, or the
Exactly.
CNA there, that's tremendous. That is tremendous to
Yeah.
think about. And it must be, as you said, back to the late 70s where you saw this quagmire and trying to figure out how am I going to be involved in the social and the spiritual and the economic picture for that patient? How can I get involved to now know that it's not just falling on your shoulders,
Exactly.
but all of that's falling on you plus
Yeah.
3 core members, potentially even a grief counselor or a massage therapist and many other people that are all working on that same patient and the family. And it really is
Right.
a family environment. And you
Absolutely.
are, in this instance, meeting with even if someone's in New Hampshire, you're still on a regular basis there communicating with you all.
We're Skyping them,
Right.
gathering the whatever family's here
Right.
in a room in the hospital, and Skyping the ones that aren't here, and
Yes.
having family conferences. So family conferences is a big part of what we do.
Right.
Pain and symptom management is what we're known for, both in hospice and palliative care.
Right.
That's the easy part.
Yeah.
Pain management has really evolved very nicely, and there are very few people whose symptoms we can't control at the end of life. Most of the time is that we spend in patient and family relationships is about communication, learning the language skills to be able to say things in a way that affirms their experience, tells them as realistically as possible what's happening to them, and not crushing them in the process. We're very, very sensitive to the reality that words can heal and words can kill.
Has your passion about palliative care rubbed off on some of those other Maverick Titan non-team players, other medical professionals that are equally passionate in many ways, are equally interested in their patient, and would love to remove some of that burden off of their shoulders and share it with some other team members? Has that rubbed off on some of your friends in the profession?
I wish I could say that it had. The truth of the matter is, yeah, I have many colleagues who are very passionate. They're passionate about particular areas of medicine. Most of them shake their heads at the few of us who do what we do. They don't share the same passion, about taking care of chronically ill and terminally ill people. For me, it's just such a natural thing, because before I used to think, okay, how am I to make the rest of your life better?
Right.
Now I say, how can I make today better?
Right. That's great.
And wow, I mean, I can make today better.
That's great.
And then we have to let tomorrow take care of itself.
Right.
So I'm, of course, it really has to do with our own experience, and mine really dates back to the dilemma, the crisis that I faced when my father died when I was very young. And I've spent the rest of my life trying to make sense out of that, and I'm sure that's why I gravitated into end-of-life care.
That's great. Dr. Sasser, thanks so much for being with us this morning. It's been very
bet.
special. Stay tuned to a little more All-American People with Dr. Charles Sasser coming up next. Think about it. I'm sure you've got more questions about palliative care that you want answered. I had about 20 questions for Dr. Sasser, only got 2 of them out, and he was rolling, wasn't he? Hadn't this been a great 25 minutes? 843-347-7111, 843-347-7111, or conwaymedicalcenter.com. Ask for palliative care service. If you've got some more questions, that's the place to call. More questions will be answered. Hopefully I'll have a chance to bump into Dr. Sasser and ask him a couple of them, because he's a special guy. Thanks again for being with us this morning.